I knew that I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the most handsome, I wasn't the best at martial arts.
I love you, Dustin.
Guys, brace yourselves. We have a brand new Marvel superhero coming your way to the big screen in the form of Simu Liu. He plays Shang Chi in Shang Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. So, is it a watch it and avoid it, or it depends? Stick around, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Hey, can we get real for a second? We've been friends for 10 years. I know that you don't like to talk about your life, but a guy with a freaking machete for an arm just chopped our butts in half.
DJ Snake.
Just want to remind you guys, I'm Max, this is Flip Your Wig. This is a place to celebrate film, TV, music, interviews, recommendations, all that good stuff. And of course, a community for us to talk about the stuff that we're into and our opinions on stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, turn your notifications on so you don't miss anything. By the way, there's loads of interviews on here at the moment and there's more to come. I caught up with Hugh Jackman recently on the red carpet of his brand new movie, Reminiscence. We spoke about a lot of stuff, including his wife, Deb. And I also spoke to Tandy Way Newton. We got really deep. Also chatted to Felicity Jones recently. We were just talking about romance and how romantic we are as people. So when you get a chance, guys, check out those videos and don't forget to subscribe. Right, Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings. Is it a watch it and avoid it, or it depends? Well, guys, it's a watch it, watch it, watch it from me. And here is why. There has been so much hype around this movie. Everywhere you look online, movie sites, YouTube, everyone's been talking about it, and I think the expectation has been ridiculous. And sometimes when you have such high expectation, the film very rarely is as good, because you go in thinking this has to be a 10. But actually, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. It completely delivered. It was beautiful to watch. Like, the choreographed action scenes were just, breathtaking. I was just like, wow, wow, wow. And it kind of made me think back to like classics back when I was a kid, things that had Jet Li in, also Jackie Chan. And if you really go all the way back, the legend that is Bruce Lee. Simu playing the lead as well was absolutely brilliant. Because a lot of times, let's be real, we very rarely see Asian superheroes. And I think this movie is going to do what Black Panther did for the black community. People that are Asian all over the world are going to feel seen and heard, and in a way that you feel proud, because you know that people that look like you, or your parents, or from the same place as you, actually represent you in a way that you're like, yeah, I'm proud. And Marvel do that wonderfully in Shang-Chi.
How did you find me? I always know where my children are. Me against the world, I got my back against the wall.
Seems like a nice fella.
Simu plays Shang-Chi, otherwise known as Sean. That's his government day name. His disguise, think Superman, Clark Kent, you know, you get the picture. He's actually really, really good in this, because he's got kind of humour as well as like being this kind of sexy action hero, because the guy does rip off his shirt and you do get to see him looking kind of ripped. He's incredible in this leading role, and I think he was such a great person to cast. But what does it actually feel like to be a Marvel superhero? Let's hear from the man himself.
Being a full-fledged MCU superhero is an absolute dream come true, and I don't say that lightly. I was, reading comic books from when I was a little kid. I was playing with action figures. I was watching all the movies, even the really obscure ones, even the ones that, if we're honest, I probably shouldn't have seen because I was too young. But I watched them all, and just became so obsessed with the idea of heroes, with the idea of like making your own destiny and carving out your own path and achieving greatness. And I just think that what's so special about this movie, of course, is that it's the representation of that, but for a community that isn't used to seeing that kind of authentic representation and that aspirational representation. And the wonderful thing is that we not only have one title Asian superhero in the MCU now, we have so many. I'm looking at the poster now, and we have so many badass Asian and Asian American heroes and heroines that audiences will be able to look up to, and that each represent a small piece of that spectrum that makes up the Asian or Asian American experience. And it's truly such a rich and diverse movie, and I can't wait for people to see it.
So, okay, real life, Simu, how much do you like your character?
I think I share a few personality traits with Shang-Chi. Most importantly, our affinity for karaoke. I think I love karaoke as much as, if not more than, Sean. And I will say definitely not in the fighting. I definitely am not one of the greatest hand-to-hand fighters in the history of the world, so can't really relate to him there. But I think in just the way that he is around his friends too. I think Sean is intensely loyal. I think he just absolutely loves being in the presence of friends, and namely his best friend Katy. And I think the two of them just are so down to have a good time. And I think I'm very much the same way. And then I'll also say, I think just in the way that Shang Chi struggles with his relationship to his father. I think, growing up in an immigrant household, I can definitely relate to that, juggling and navigating the expectations of my parents and trying to connect to them, even across a cultural barrier and oftentimes a language barrier. It was really hard for us, and we got into a lot of arguments, and there was a lot of tension because we just fundamentally didn't understand each other. And I'm really, really happy with the journey that I took, and I hope that Sean can take a similar journey in the movie, where he can, learn to accept all of the parts of him, and including, the parts that are darker and maybe represent, his father's side.
Get familiar with this name, Destin Daniel Cretton. He's the director, and if I was wearing a hat right now, Destin, I'd be taking it off for you, mate, because you do an incredible job. So well executed. Simu, what was it like to vibe with him?
I think working with Destin, what really struck me was how much he didn't want to make a traditional superhero movie, and we talk about that superhero pose that Yelena makes fun of in Black Widow. I mean, but it's the spirit of that. It's the spirit of not wanting to frame this character as a superhero, but rather as an ordinary person. And that's when stories become relatable, is when there is human emotion attached to it. And I think Destin's affinity for that is what really makes this movie pop and what makes the story great.
When you become a Marvel Universe superhero, Captain America, Black Widow, Black Panther, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, there's so many awesome characters, and you're amongst them as Shang-Chi. Did you feel nervous? A little bit scared?
Who ever thinks that they're worthy, whether it's like being not tall enough, not handsome enough, not good enough at martial arts, or not, whatever have you, not muscular enough. There's so many questions that I had going in, just because I knew that I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the most handsome, I wasn't the best at martial arts. And what Destin really made me understand is that I was chosen for my heart and my emotional range, not necessarily just how high I could kick, how much I could throw a punch.
Awkwafina is somebody I adore. I remember watching her in Farewell and just falling in love with her. Crazy Rich Asians, Raya and the Last Dragon recently. I think Disney love her, because this is another Disney movie. She is just comedic genius, and she just has those perfect one-liners, and her face has got so many expressions that she just sometimes doesn't even have to say anything. You're just like, yeah, I'm thinking what you're thinking. She plays best friends with Shang-Chi, and I think she's such a good pairing with Simu. They have great chemistry. To be part of a movie like this, I know it meant so much to her as well.
I'm really proud to be a part of this film. I think it would mean a lot. I think it would have meant a lot for me to see Shang-Chi, someone like Shang-Chi as a kid. And I think that it'll mean a lot to kids today to hopefully see themselves in a superhero.
Normally, she has the one-liners, and she's a pretty badass actress, but this time she does get a bit of action in the archery form, so she had to train a little.
I had to learn just how to use a bow. I really couldn't even guess how to do it. And it actually is very zen. I enjoy it very much as a sport. And props to Gina Davis, one of an Olympic grade archer, who's also a fantastic actress, especially in The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
Hold on, everybody!
Shang-Chi is all about introducing us some brand new names to the Marvel Universe and cinema in general. Meng'er Zhang is one of those names. She is absolutely adorable in real life. Awesome. This was her debut movie, and the character that she plays is pretty kick-ass, and her fight scenes are insane to watch. And I think she had 4 months of training, and I think there was a lot of screaming during that training because they really challenged her. But to be in a Marvel movie, to play a character like this, and it to be your debut feature, must be insane.
I remember the first day I stepped on set and I put my hand on the wall, and all of a sudden the memory of my characters just flew into my veins. It's such a magical moment for me. And all those details and all those, I thought it's just the outside. But actually, I went into every individual room and I want to live there.
You know when a film goes really well is when the actors actually hang out when it's like, cut! And these guys absolutely did. They became a little bit of a family. Meng celebrated getting married, and as a surprise, Simu took her to Disneyland, and Awkwafina also got involved with karaoke, of course.
Oh my God. Simu is like a real brother to me. I mean, he took me to Disneyland to surprise me for my marriage celebration, and Awkwafina, she threw a big karaoke party for us to celebrate, and we are like family. We really bond together so strong. We had so much fun together. And yeah, Awkwafina, she's the coolest girl I've ever met. It can be pretty intimidating doing improv alongside of her, but it was so much fun. And Simu, he always encourages me, and yeah, he's really like a brother to me.
It's time to show the world
No, I'm hellbound, but I'm well now.
who I really am.
No one will ever stop.
Well, guys, Kevin Feige, who's the big boss of Marvel, the guy that wears the suit jackets with the baseball cap and always looks really happy like he's just had a bag of pick and mix. He travelled all the way to the UK, to Oxfordshire, to convince a certain Ben Kingsley to join the cast and reprise a role from, I think, Iron Man 3.
Kevin Feige came to my house. I live in Oxfordshire in England. And he flew over to present to me the idea of Trevor in the first place. And that introduction to him was so well put, so well thought through. And the initial character so well thought through and well created, and then the short film that Drew Pearce did afterwards when Trevor is in prison, it was a marvelous opportunity to add more layers and see another aspect of him in his element as an actor doing a one-man show for people, dressed in his Shakespearean costume. It was a tremendous opportunity. I was absolutely delighted to revisit Trevor and to give him another breath of life, as it were.
You are a product of all who came before you.
If I die, it's your fault.
This film wouldn't have given us Awkwafina, Simu, Ben Kingsley, and I don't think it would have been as powerful and as impactful without this man. The guy behind it, Daniel Cretton, he put so much sort of heart and soul into this story. It was something very personal to him and very important. And before this particular character, Shang Chi, came along, he had no ambitions to work for Marvel, which I find fascinating.
I mean, I honestly didn't initially want to direct a big Marvel superhero film until I saw the announcement of this particular character. And there was something about this character that gripped me. And I felt like I had to take a meeting with Marvel. And as soon as I sat down with Jonathan Schwartz, our producer, and heard his thoughts on the character and the direction they were already wanting to take it, I just felt pretty aligned with that vision, and it got me very excited to be a part of the process.
Guys, it's out October 3rd all across the UK in cinemas. Please watch it on the big screen. You have to watch this on the big screen. It is absolutely incredible. It's a watch it. Let me know what you think. And also, I have a question. In the wider Marvel universe, Shang-Chi, how could he pop up again? Like, could there be another Avengers style movie, but with these characters that are now coming to the forefront? I would love to see that. Would you? Let me know what you think might happen with the character, because I think he's definitely going to be making more appearances within Marvel universe, and I think he deserves to, because this movie was an indication of what we can expect. Right, before I go, a bit of a treat for you. Let's go behind the scenes for the cast and give you a bit of insight on what happened on set. Take care, guys. I'll be back soon. Bye.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
Hold on, everybody!
Shang-Chi is, at its core, a Marvel movie that comes with a promise of action and a certain promise to the quality of the sequences that we're about to deliver.
This film will take your breath away on the big screen, and it is as big as anything that we've ever brought to life in the MCU before.
With the bus sequence, everything had to be perfect.
That was something I've never done before, taking a bus down San Francisco hills and crashing into real cars.
We are using literally every single inch of that bus and figuring out what we can do with it.
We make a good team.
Some days at work are harder than others.
We're working with world-class stunt teams. Their work ethic, everything that they're doing is like incredible to witness.
I was training with the world champion of Tai Chi, and she was absolutely amazing.
I took 2 weeks to rehearse the fight sequence. It's a symbol of the aggressiveness and anger of the character.
We're going to incorporate a lot of different styles of martial arts. Tai Chi, which is very, very flowy. Another one is Wing Chun, which is a bit more combative. And then looking at certain regional styles that kind of fill in this mosaic of how this character moves.
Run it!
This film should stand out on its own. It's got a very magical story behind it, mixed with a lot of action.
The world has no idea what they're up for.
It's time for you to take your place by my side.
That's not going to happen.